Hi, my name is Nate, and I'm one of the FUTO interns for 2025. I present the interns.
I'm Brandon.
I'm Suhas.
And I'm Paul.
Today we're going to be talking a little bit about our experiences as interns this summer and what we did. So this summer, I worked on a programming language called FUBs. It's sort of our stealth project that we're working on, and essentially, all right, the way I like to describe it is it's sort of a self-contained programming environment. Those are just buzzwords, really. What it really is it's a programming language that works on bare metal systems. And so we have a lot of low-level code that is meant to interface so that you can actually run this program on just the pure hardware, without any sort of dependencies. There are no dependencies whatsoever. Everything is just written in FUBs code. And it's sort of intended as sort of an educational tool, but it happens to be really good for embedded system development, right? Because, again, you have access to every single thing in the entire stack, inside of FUBs. So initially, we bootstrapped this thing in Linux, but what I did is I really took our old sort of Linux loader program that was a couple of lines of C code, and I got rid of that entirely by rewriting it in purely L file. So FUBs is now wrapped in an L file when you're loading it onto Linux. And although that code will eventually be deleted because we're not even concerned with the Linux target whatsoever, right now we don't rely on any C code whatsoever for FUBs, or any C code that we have written, we should say. There's still firmware which is written in C, which we may rely on. Some other things I've done is FUBs runs on Raspberry Pi now, which is kind of nice. And there's a lot of little things here and there, just neatening up the code, blah, 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 trying to delete stuff. The goal is always to delete code rather than to increase it. Some of the difficulties I've had, I would say, is, FUBs is a new programming language, so there's no such thing as a debugger, right? There's nothing. You have no tools, okay? Except there's this really wonderful dude named Daniel Cook who's been making like thousands of tools for us. Not thousands literally, but a lot of tools that are really useful. So what I spend my day doing usually is I have the ARM manual on one side, I have the code on the other, and I'm literally looking at a register over UART, and I'm like, this register has this values, and these values, this particular bit 23 of this register is a 1 when it should be a 0, and then my whole computer crashes, and I'm like, why is that? And then I don't know what to do, and then I get stuck on that for 5 days of just trying and twiddling several other registers that may be related, and then I discovered that the bug was actually in the ARM manual. Somebody made a typo. So that's sort of my life, and that's sort of embedded development life in general. But, it is what it is, and I enjoy it. I actually really like embedded development. So, yeah, that's FUBs. That's me.
This summer, I'm working on the image project. I'm primarily focusing on the front-end development. My first feature that I implemented was Google Cast support on the web front-end. And after I submitted that, I also added support to the mobile app. So now you're able to cast your images, slideshows, albums, all to a TV that supports Google Cast. In the future, we may be adding FCast support, but right now there's just Google Cast support. After that, I worked on home screen widgets for iOS and Android. You guys got to see that rage whenever I worked on the Android version of it. I had Android Studio just crashing half the time or not finding any of the code that I wrote. So that I had probably 2 or 3 weeks there where I was just in hell of Android Studio. But now that's over. The feature works, and now I'm primarily working on our new beta timeline inside of the image mobile app. And so that's including an entire rewrite of our database layer inside the phone. And we're now using SQLite instead of ISAR inside of Flutter. And so now the app is much more performant because we're changing how our sync works. I haven't touched much of the sync portion of it, but it's been a lot of migrating UI code to use the new database layer instead of the old version of it. I think was it my second week here? We came in on a weekend and we completely ripped out all of the server room and put in new Unify equipment. So my first week here, none of the Wi-Fi was working. Were any of you guys here for that?
No, I think
No.
No, I was
you guys
here.
all came in the second week.
I was here. It wasn't up. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the Wi-Fi was not working, and we figured out that some of the cabling in the server room had breaks in it, and so we completely ripped it all out. I'm sure Peter can cut in some footage of how pretty it looks now, but it was hell beforehand, and now it works. So.
Can I say I watch Reels on company time? Is that allowed for this video?
Well, yeah, but then, you're responsible for the consequences.
I watch Reels on company time. Something, my boss makes $1, I make $1. That's why I watch Reels on company time. Nate's guilty of it too.
At least it's not YouTube Shorts.
That's him.
That's what I watch.
Okay, so I worked on FUTO Core, which, if y'all viewers don't know, is our app store and licensing toolkit that allows open source developers to make money without using the Google Play Store, the Apple App Store, for example. So I worked on a litany of random stuff. The first 4 weeks was spent moving all of our CI/CD build systems to use Docker containers instead of running on bare metal. So that was an interesting affair, to say the least, since GitLab is not very well documented. So a lot of debugging, a lot of chat GPTing, and a lot of waiting 30 minutes for build scripts, which gave me ample time to watch Reels and let my computer crash. If y'all can't tell, the computer's crashing seems to be a common theme here. Anyway, after that, I did a lot of work on our web stuff after we were trying to implement user counts. So I set up a time series database so that people who are making apps on our platform can request an API route from their app and then see like nice, pretty charts in their admin dashboard to see how many people access the app on a daily/monthly basis. So that was really interesting to implement since it was my first time really working with Rust. And then this last month or so has mostly been work on the app. So I created a agent LLM thing to run our tests for us so that no one would have to, because no one tends to write tests anymore. That's so too many years ago. We just make the chat GPT do it for us. So that was a month's stuff. And now I'm working on our payment library, and on the app stuff, I'm implementing like address autocomplete so that you don't have to type in your whole address and it actually makes sure the address you type in exists. So yeah, that's been about my work.
The address autofill has been proving to be harder than you would think, right?
Yeah, Android is not, and a lot of things that I have worked on this summer are not very well documented. So it turns out Android doesn't have a nice autocomplete window component, even though I feel like that was something you would expect. So I have been trying to get that working for the last like week and a half now with no success.
Nice. So it's all Jetpack Compose, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've succumbed to Cursor to show me how to do this one.
There you go.
Stack Overflow is a dead end.
Yep. All right, Paul.
Okay, am I going? Most of my work this summer was done on the Rust core library, which is essentially the cross-platform business logic for Polycentric. So it's code that will end up in both our mobile app and our web app, as well as potentially any other Polycentric client that we might write, or any other client that the community might write, because of course it will be open source. Most of my work was just iterating on the library itself and writing demo apps for it just to test it and to make sure it actually does everything we want and to make it as pleasant as possible to use. I also did some UI work on the version of Polycentric that doesn't use Rust, which is publicly available right now. I am responsible for allowing users to attach multiple images to their posts, so you're welcome for that. I know it was a very big feature. It really changed the Polycentric experience.
So now why we can upload multiple pictures of IKEA furniture to
Exactly,
Polycentric.
exactly. That wouldn't be possible without me. But yeah, that's about what my experience has been this summer.
So now we're going to talk a little bit about what we enjoyed here and what really made our time at FUTO great. So for me, it was the gym, absolutely the gym. Well, I mean, there were other things, but I've put on like 20 pounds of something, maybe muscle, allegedly muscle, but I've gone up 20 pounds since working here, which is very good because I've always been trying to go up in weight. And today I started hitting the gym like 5 times a week. I'm huge now. You know, Suhas has been going to the gym too. It's been pretty great.
Yeah, maybe not 20 pounds huger, but I can lift something.
Can you tell us about meat maxing, Nate?
Since I've been going to the gym, I've been taking part in something called meat maxing, which is when you really focus on the protein. It is what it sounds like, and the office has picked up on meat maxing, and it's a common phrase now.
Yeah, you work out with me.
Yeah, I work out with Peter, who's like meat supreme over here. I don't even know what to say. So thank you, Peter. It's a pretty dude. The gym it's fun. Y'all should go to the gym if you're in tech. Like FUTO exists to get people into the gym. So yeah.
Or be like every other tech bro and just start bouldering.
Bouldering.
Yeah, I guess you
You
could.
guys need a rock climbing wall in the gym.
No.
That would be kind of fun, actually.
Oh no.
Like imagine just like you're stuck on a bug, right? And you don't know what to do, so you just start climbing.
I think leave that for SF. Let's just go to the gym. Let's just deadlift, guys.
Yeah, but it takes so much time to like set up a deadlift and everything where like I could just like monkey up a wall while I'm stuck on my CI build,
Oh, something else that was fun, sorry, not to distract, was I would say the Friday lunches were pretty good. They were really good for networking, for just talking to people, for hanging out. It was just a great experience. I remember the first time I was there, I met a whole bunch of hardware engineers, and then I just keep meeting a different hardware engineer every time I go there, which is really nice because I like hardware and I like talking to people who've worked at like AMD, Intel, etc.
One of the biggest things I enjoyed this summer was actually all of you guys. This is the first
Aw.
internship that I've
So
had.
nice, Brett.
This is the first internship I've had that has like peers at it. The last internship I had, it was like just me as the intern. So it's been super fun to go out with you guys on the weeks, in the evenings, and do fun stuff. We should have done more of it. It took us like a month and a half to go and do a pizza outing together.
So the things I enjoyed the most were probably the gym. I really enjoyed like talking to people outside of strictly code, ChatGPT context, and lifting, having fun. I really enjoyed all the generous amount of free food that we got. The Monday lunch, the Friday lunch, and every single time Brandon asked us to get lunch with Steve's card.
I asked Steve if he wants food, and it comes with that.
We'll call it a perk.
Yeah, Dude, whenever I was doing my my onboarding, I was like, "So do you guys do any lunches the week?" And Ian told me it's like we do one lunch a week. And I showed up my first week, and I had like 4 lunch. I had to throw away a bunch of groceries.
I think I showed up the first day, and I was like, someone just said, "Oh, there's a lunch," and I was caught very off guard because I thought it was a Friday lunch only thing.
Yeah.
And then Rudy's just showed up at the little cafeteria table.
Is that a yo-yo, Steve?
Dude, lock in.
Shut the hell
Lock
up,
in,
Brandon.
please.
That's why I waited for you to finish.
But yeah, also all these people are great. Brandon in specific, he's our head intern here. He's always on some side quests, but it was fun hanging out with y'all, going on a bunch of side quests and such. But yeah.
I think my favorite part about working here was just the really flexible environment that we have. Like, we can be, writing code 1 minute, and the next we'll be, making a video with all the interns about, like, holding Peter hostage and giving micro grants on behalf of the company. But in all seriousness, I do think that is, in my opinion, the best part about working here is it's very laid back. It's very flexible. There's, it doesn't feel like there's a giant push to get things done by certain deadlines. We really have the time to take things slow and do things right, which I think ultimately allows us to deliver much better software, which, of course, I'd rather do. I'd rather take the time to make things good than just doing things quickly and rushing out as many features as possible. Yeah, I've met a lot of interesting people at the company. Of course, the interns, you guys have been super fun to hang out with, but also really just everyone here that I've talked to has been super interesting to meet. Everyone is super knowledgeable, and everyone is knowledgeable in a slightly different area, so that has made things super interesting. And yeah, I'd say that's what I've enjoyed about working here.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. There's not a big push to push out features quickly or anything like that. It's always let's make good quality software for the future. I think it's been really conducive to a learning environment as well, instead of just like, hey, yeah, we need this quick feature. Oh, wait, it's going to be faster if I just do it or something like that. It's very like, take your time on this, learn all the different things, and then if you need help, ask. So.
Okay, so Peter's taking me hostage and he's asked me to give advice to the next batch of interns. So to that, I would have to say the first thing you need to do is develop a raging nicotine addiction. It's the easiest way to fit in. But on a more real note, ask questions, be curious, and accept any offer for free food.
Yeah. When you come work at FUTO, you'll find out really quickly that a bunch of people here like to troll each other. We have Steve and Eron that are the number 1 and 2 trolls in the office. Eron has come into the intern farm with the t-shirt on one time, and he like walks up to you and he's like this. And you're like, is this Steve Jobs? And he goes and he shakes his head, and then he goes back in his office, and then 20 minutes later he comes back out doing the exact same thing. And none of us know what's happening. And you look down at his shirt, and it was from Karate Kid, right?
Yeah, it's from Karate Kid.
Yeah, what was the good dude's name?
Oh, I forget.
It was like a little victory tour. Every hour he would just show up in a different room doing that same pose and asking everyone in that room what it was.
Yeah, he...
Can we get that in the video?
Eron says his name is Crease.
Sweep the leg.
Sweep the leg. Okay.
So if you come to work here, I'd probably say don't go on Bee Cave Road. I biked here and I went on Bee Cave Road and I almost died. Don't do that. There's a route. Ask Eron. He'll tell you how to get there. That's literally my only advice. Other than that, go to the gym and use your supervisors. They're pretty cool. And don't talk to Peter. Peter's really weird. He's really weird. He'll talk to you for like an hour about some obscure Polish movie, and it's like nobody cares, bro. So don't talk to Peter.
He really doesn't like it. He really doesn't like it when you kidnap him and make him record your intern video. We discovered that a couple days ago.
Nick was literally looking right into my eyes.
that was heavily pointed.
It's okay. I actually like really obscure movies too. It's fine. Yeah, you'll have some really interesting conversations, and everybody here is actually very multi-talented, so it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I've had more than my fair share of Peter movie discussions. Did I tell you?
It's not just me, it's also Eron.
Yeah, Eron is also very into movies.
The biggest James Cameron fan on the planet.
Yeah, I texted my mom whenever she came and visited the office. I said, whatever you do, don't ask Peter about movies if you need to get work done. And she responds back, he's already talking to me about them.
That's pretty good.
I'd say my biggest piece of advice is don't be afraid to meet new people. You know, even though, of course, Brandon's right that there is a lot of trolling and you will have to just accept that. But once you do, you will also, you will meet a lot of people who you can learn a lot from and have a lot of super interesting conversations with about both computer science and also a lot of different topics. It really is true that a lot of people here are multi-talented. So definitely take advantage of that. Don't just, you don't have to just do your job like every hour of every day. You can take some time to meet new people, take some time to have some fun. And it is definitely worthwhile to do so.
It is unfortunately gym time for me, so we're all going to have to cut this video. Make sure to comment on GrayJ specifically, like and subscribe, and apply here next summer. It's a great place to work.